Hello again, welcome back. So, Pakistan is again in the grip of political instability. It's barely a week since Pervez Musharraf quit as president. Now the coalition government has split, and caught in the crossfire, Pakistan's people. The economy has plummeted and the working class are paying the price. Pakistani stocks and the rupee did jump last week with Musharraf's resignation, but then fell as traders lost confidence in the coalition's ability to work together. Inflation is raging over 20% and the Pakistani rupee has fallen almost 24% against the dollar this year. The political rows have also diverted the government's attention from the critical issue of security. More than 400 people have died in 20 suicide bombings in the last 3 months. Last week, 2 suicide bomb attacks killed at least 60 people near Islamabad. Another blast hit a rally, wounding more than 20 people. And in one of the most recent incidents, a US diplomat came under gunfire as she was driving in Peshawar. Well, still with us are our guests in Islamabad, Humayun Gohar, also in Islamabad, Maria Kusisto, and in Kabul, Musharraf Zaidi. Thank you very much for staying with us. Let me start with you, Maria. I want to start with security. Are we seeing the prospect of extremists taking advantage of the political instability to launch escalating attacks?
I think what we are probably seeing is we are seeing retaliations here in Punjab and Sindh, and these are retaliation for the military operations in the federal administered tribal areas where the Taliban and the Al-Qaeda are suspected of hiding. So this is why we are seeing this, and we've seen a huge increase in suicide bombings over the past couple of years. In fact, 2007 was the first year when we saw a clear peak in suicide bombings particularly. And I think this is demonstrating a trend that these militants are able to infiltrate and take advantage of the situation and come to Islamabad and all the large cities and carry out attacks, particularly against security forces and the Pakistani military.
And Musharraf, I mean, there is a deep dislike of Zardari amongst the extremists. I mean, if he became president, would that be marked by more attacks?
I mean, you know, I'm not in the business of predicting more or less attacks, but I can say for certain that neither the economic malaise that Pakistan finds itself in, nor the security situation that is currently prevailing, has anything to do with either Nawaz Sharief, who's a legitimate politician, or Asif Ali Zardari, who's also a legitimate politician.
Oh, but it is linked to the political uncertainty. I mean, you can't deny that the economy and security all have links with the political instability in Pakistan.
Oh no, I absolutely do deny that, because actually the economic situation globally for the last 8 months has been terrible, and any economic sort of problems that Pakistan is having are being mirrored in the country that I'm sitting in. India has record inflation. They haven't had inflation like this for a quarter century. So I think, to start blaming Zardari and Sharif and legitimately elected politicians in Pakistan for economic problems that are not only global but also rooted in the misappropriation of public sector funding during Musharraf's era, I think it's just disingenuous. And I think the problem that I have with it is not that it's targeting Zardari or Sharif. I mean, target them all you like, they're politicians. The problem I have with it is that we undermine the possibility of sustained democracy in Pakistan by falsely accusing politicians of things that they're not responsible for. I mean, the Taliban and Al-Qaeda are responsible for the security situation in Pakistan, not the PPP and the PMLN.
Humayun, what do you think about that? That the economic and security issues aren't linked to the political uncertainty?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I really don't know why Mr. Musharraf Zaidi attacked me. He doesn't know me, except perhaps by rumor, and when he uses offensive phrases like Humayun Sahab and people like him, he doesn't know me at all. He didn't even understand what I said. I am for Zardari's presidency, and I am for his presidency because the people of Pakistan gave his party the largest number of seats in the National Assembly and in the Sindh Assembly.
But do you think the economic problems and the security problems, do you think the economic and security problems are linked to the political uncertainty?
I mean, of course, for example, one of the important things for making an economy grow is investment. Whether it's foreign or local, it doesn't matter. And an investor always looks at security, the security of his money, the security of his people. So in a place which is insecure, drives money away, drives investment away. And certainly they are linked, and I agree that, I mean, these are not problems of today's government's making. These are problems that go back, frankly, back to 1979. And insecurity in Pakistan is not caused so much or initiated by Al-Qaeda or the Taliban. It has been initiated first by the Soviet Union and now by the American occupation and the NATO occupation.
You see, that's a
driving all
problem
these
for
people into
Zardari, isn't it?
Pakistan.
Zardari cannot afford to be seen as Washington's man the way that Pervez Musharraf was.
You see, the point is nobody can afford to be seen as Washington's man or frankly anybody's man. The problem is that when you follow policies which are in the interest of your country, which sometimes are in tandem with or like American policies, then you are perceived as Washington's man. And that is something he will find very, very difficult to avoid unless he can convince the United States administration, especially the new one that's coming in, that he will have to make noises that are not liked by them but are liked by his people, so that he can manage to somehow dilute that perception. It's not there right now. Some people do believe, of course, that they were sent back by America and all that, but forget that. As the government goes on, they will increasingly be perceived as that for no fault of theirs. It is just that terrorism is a problem in our country as well. It is our own problem too.
Okay.
And we have to also follow certain policies.
Maria, sorry to interrupt you, Humayun. Maria, let me come to you. I just want to ask, sorry, Musharraf, you wanted to clip in there.
Just very quickly, I wanted to just affirm my abiding admiration for Humayun Gaur Sahib, and in no way did I mean to attack him. I was speaking of the English language elite of Pakistan, of which Humayun Sahib is certainly a member, and of which I'm an aspiring member. But
Okay.
the problem is that this elite.
No, you sound like a better member than I am. Your accent is better
I'm
than
grateful.
Okay, all right. I'm glad we've
grateful for
got
the
that
endorsement.
straight.
Thank you.
Musharraf, what's the feeling on the street? Do ordinary people feel that they've been betrayed by their political leaders?
Sure. I mean, ordinary people are being crushed under the weight of, again, record inflation. Fuel in the past 8 months, I think, has nearly doubled in price. Nearly, not entirely, but nearly. So I think, the ordinary people don't really care whether there's democratic legitimacy to Mr. Zardari's presidency or to Mr. Sharief's insistence on restoring the judiciary. But I think ordinary people should be given more credit than just thinking with their stomachs. I think that even people who are struggling to meet the bottom level, the poverty line in Pakistan, even they recognize the difference between an illegitimate government that is easily targeted and labeled as an American stooge, and a legitimate government which will be much harder to label similarly. I agree that when this prosecution, the prosecution of the war against the sort of violent extremists that are attacking innocent civilians in Pakistan, when Zardari and the PPP sort of pick up the pace on this, which I think began yesterday with the banning of the Pakistani Taliban, I think there will be attempts to tar them and feather them as American stooges. But I think it's a lot harder to do that when you've taken a good 30-35% of the general election popular vote. And similarly with Nawaz Sharief, I mean, sooner or later, we're going to see a PMLN government in Pakistan, and when we do, Mr. Nawaz Sharief will have to prosecute the same war. Now,
Okay.
they might use different languages, but ultimately, I think that this is going to be Pakistan's war, and it's going to be prosecuted by the legitimate elected leaders of Pakistan.
Okay, Maria, what's your prediction for the coming days? Are we going to see some bitter political rivalry as the parties try to outflank each other?
Well, I think so. I mean, we are going to see rivalry run up to the 6th of September presidential elections. I think there's also quite a lot of rivalry over the Pakistan Muslim League Q, which obviously has been Musharraf's key support base. And now both parties are trying to muster support from the Pakistan Muslim League Q in order to strengthen their position in the federal level and also in Punjab province. So it'll be quite interesting to see what happens to the Pakistan Muslim League Q and which way the seats that the Q has actually go. I would argue that probably the seats are going to go to the Muslim League, in the sense that there is a historical link there, and also some elements of the Q are quite critical about Zardari's recent maneuvers.
OK, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens in Pakistan over the next few days. But for the moment, thank you very much indeed to all three of my guests for joining that discussion. Humayun Gohar, Musharraf Zaidi and Maria Kusisto. Thank you all very much indeed. And thank you for joining us here on this edition of Inside Story. We, of course, welcome your comments and suggestions, so do email us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. But for the moment, from me, Sheila Ghosh, bye-bye for now.